Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the roundtable hosted by your one and only Bitten Burge, bringing in Tim Tao, Chris McNay, and Levi Burdick.
Honestly, we got, of course, he introduced me. You got 7AA Sports, Levi Burdick, Chris Napier from, it says, Northwest Georgia Sports Report. I think that's something you got going now, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to write about some rec sports. So
I got you. And then Mr. Tim Tao, the famous Mr. Tim Tao. It's actually his idea that we could just throw something together. He said, how about 9 o'clock tonight? I said, that's perfect because I still think there's a lot of people confused, and Lawrence was on board. There's a lot of people confused as to what went down or what's still going on, I guess you'd say.
I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've got a few sources inside down there at the old GHSA place, and I can tell you when that meeting kicked off today, there was a group of them that thought it was a done deal and it was going to be smooth sailing. The Single A committee came forward, and they were the ones. There you go. This is a really good sum up of it right here. And the private schools actually said, hey, we've wanted the equal application of the multiplier, whether it's 2, 2.5, or 3. They said they wanted it all along equally applied to everybody. Other groups within the GHSA, and you see the one person who voted against it here was the secretary from 8A, which is the former Commerce AD, I believe, and they said, so some of the Single A public schools did not want it. So some of the Single A private said, hey, we're going to move out of here up to AA, and that's going to shake up the AA. So the Single A publics kind of got a little bit rattled with what was going on there. And the bottom line was the president there said, hey, let's just take a step back, and instead of, kind of batting all this around, let's just apply it equally. They voted for option A, and they voted for option B, and they had a lot of issues with what was going to happen to region to Single A if the private schools started leaving. So once that was settled, they said then let's just apply it equally, and it was applied equally, and they reclassified all AAA, single A, and AA. And the big thing was, them not wanting to just say, let's set 8 divisions, 8 classifications. They didn't want to do it before. They didn't want to do it now. They didn't want to set 8 classifications. So they said Single A still now has a large school group, which is 500, student body of 500 to about 830, and a small school, which is 500 and below. And the small school will be Single A D2, and the large school, 500 to 830, will be D1.
Yep. I don't know if that cleared anything up or not.
It did at all.
No.
But before we even get into some of our schools in the area, I've heard multiple people with different ideas about what they should have done, or arguments for and against. Obviously, more against what they've done. I don't know. I'm on board. I look at it as, if you're trying to balance the public or the private schools versus all your other public schools, then why don't you, give the public schools a less amount of multiplier, like maybe a 2.5 versus 3 in a private school or something like that. I don't know.
Ben, I'm kind of changing subjects here, but let me ask you something. What if I told you this morning when you woke up that you were going to be in Single A?
Yeah.
I would be like,
what would you have said?
I would say this. I would say, I'd be like, there's no way. How am I going to be, what 760
and not to interrupt you, but Paul, what if you woke up today and I told you were going to be in AA? What would you say?
I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you.
The first thing I said is, are we going to play trying again? That's the first thing I thought.
Well, I mean, and you know what?
Was going to be in AA.
Well, and you know what? Trying and Chattooga playing is no big deal. Trine and Model playing, Trine and Coosa playing. None of those things are big deal. The big deal I have is, where do you come off bringing a Rockmart possibly down to play somebody like a Trine or a Gordon Lee? How does a sane person think that's okay?
But Rockmart has no out of district kids, so they were coming down to AA regardless.
Yeah, but who cares? They've got 900 something students.
No, not really.
They've got 900 students. Trine's got 380. Like, are you telling me that out of the 380 we have to choose from, that we're going to get as equal talent as the 900 they have to choose from?
No, I tell you what, Paul. Even bigger is this: Bowden, which has been the powerhouse in Region 6A public. They drop all the way down to one of the smallest schools in the state because they have almost I think 15, maybe a dozen out of district students. So they're not only remaining in single A, they're going to the small school division of single A, and they have no out of district kids.
Well, and I understand the out of district kids.
We should have named it the reclass roundtable.
Hey, I get where Paul's coming from. I mean,
all I'm saying is some of this apples to oranges. I understand when Calhoun was in AA, they were a city school, they were dominating that 7AA, but you can't compare a Calhoun. I'm not even sure you can compare Bowden to Trine. The towns are not the same size. The county makeup's not the same. And my problem with this is that the GHSA, in my opinion, is taking the easy way out, because things like this, in my opinion, take a little work. They take a little time. You have to look at everybody's individual situation, and you can't just lump everybody into the same place and say, okay, Calhoun is just like Trine. Bowden is just like Trine. Chattooga is just like Rockmart. I mean, however you want to slice it up. These places are not the same. Their makeups are not the same. Their county populations are not the same. Their city populations are not the same. Like, it's all an apples to oranges comparison that they're trying to just say, you know what, let's just make everybody have a 3 times multiplier.
Hey, wait right there. See Eagles Landing Christian Academy?
Yep, that's what I was
right there above Tryon. I think that's a little bit of a mismatch. I think Eagles Landing also played St. Xavier in Cincinnati, which is a top 25 nationally ranked program. They lost pretty handily, but and they also scrimmaged Lowndes. They took Ware County right down to the wire, and so did Calhoun.
Guys, Elko beat Lowndes in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
I know it's a scrimmage, but still.
Yeah. So you're talking about a team that could possibly dominate. No public school would have a chance to win a state championship.
Hey, Chris, and on that note, you and I have talked about this in the past. From you came from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
And tell me how many years it's been since any public school was able to win a state title once they combined public and private.
When I went to school in the late 80s, early 90s in Ohio. During the 90s, when I followed it, I don't remember a public school winning a state championship. I just don't remember any of them. It was like by the time you got to the Final Four in every classification, it was all the private schools, and it was wild making it to the playoffs and playing these private schools where we had 40 kids because I think we were about 780 enrollment, and they would dress. We had like 40 kids. They'd have a full roster of 100 or more. They might have 150 to 200 kids in their program, including JV and freshmen. But they had the ability to recruit from 5 and 6 different counties where we had our one district. And, we had rules against us recruiting. They didn't. It was the rule for them. They could do it. I just hope we're not heading in the same direction here in Georgia.
Yeah, I think that Tennessee has a little.
Can I ask one more question?
Go ahead, Paul.
I just want to ask one question and see how everybody feels about this.
Yeah,
I don't think there should be districts. Why does that matter? You should be able to send your kid, or your kid should be able to go to wherever he or she wants to go. If you're willing to drive that distance,
that's a school voucher
get home late.
we can't get into.
Pay the gas money to get there. Why does that matter? Now, I'm not including private schools in this. If you're a private school, you're a private school. You chose to be a private school. You play private schools. That's what you do, in my opinion. But as far as public schools, I don't like districts. Like, anybody should be able to go wherever they want to go. And you know what? You should be judged based off your total population of students, no matter where they come from. And I don't care who that benefits or who that hurts, but that's just my opinion.
I disagree to a point, and I agree to a point. Because at the end of the day, if you tell kids that they can drive wherever they want, as long as they pay for the gas mileage and pay for whatever, to be able to go to that school in that district, then that you're talking about kids being able to play a season at one school, that school maybe having to lose the rest of transfer to another school and playing. A kid could possibly play at 4 different high schools in 4 years, all because he doesn't like the makeup of the school or how good their football program is.
Welcome to the world of college football now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'd say
that's the way the world's going.
And that's why I said I partially agree with you also, because then also kids such as class single A and class double A kids that would never have the exposure because people quote unquote say they don't play anybody to be able to get noticed by college coaches, or they're not big enough to be noticed by college coaches, would have that opportunity as in college to play 2 or 3 years and then be able to so grad transfer to a school and play to get that bigger recognition. So like you say, I don't totally disagree with you, but as a teammate, as a player that I would hate to see, me having a starting quarterback and then him transfer him go to a different school system all because we didn't have it all together that season.
Well, hey, before we get too far off the cliff of what ifs, what we're dealing right now with in the state of Georgia, our sports teams are controlled by a non-state, non-state school board entity called the GHSA. And so we're bound by their rules right now, and we're bound by the districts that schools have. So knowing that we're bound by that, but so we want to look at this through the lens of this is kind of the confinement that we're stuck in. We have districts, and we have 8 different classifications. That's more classifications than any other state that I could find. Tim, I don't know if you were searching, or Chris.
Tennessee actually has 9.
Tennessee has 9, but they're small school. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
their private schools have 2 divisions.
They have D2 and D1 for privates, but they do their privates really well. Tennessee is a good example of how to effectively do private schools.
How many private schools does Tennessee have versus Georgia? Does anybody know that? How many private schools are in Georgia?
Probably not nearly as much, but the blueprint, what they do is good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It really
I
is.
agree.
I've been to their state playoffs in multiple sports, and it's the parity amongst those private schools can be vastly different. But the upper echelon of those, they're allowed. They say private schools do whatever you want, no holds barred. You want to recruit, you want to offer athletic scholarships, no holds bars, go at it, and it creates some of the nation's more powerful high school sport divisions over there.
Macaulay and Knox Catholic,
and you're right.
Schools like that.
Yeah, and you're also right, Levi. I mean, and everybody. I mean, it's not just Knox Catholic. I mean, what they do, it seems to me like, is that it's not all geared towards one sport, because you see these schools closer to our area. Macaulay, Baylor. They may be good in all sports, but they seem to excel in 1 or 2 sports or another.
When you tour those schools, the state championship banners they hang up are from golf to the row team, to the lacrosse team, to the dive team, to the swim team.
Hey, scroll back down, Ben. Sorry to interrupt. Scroll back down to 2A. You'll see something very interesting there at the top. All right, a little bit more. All right. See Carver, Atlanta, and scroll up a little bit, and you will see Appling County. Yep. Now, just a couple weeks ago in the reclassification and the realignments, these 2 were AAA schools. They're now in 2A. Carver Atlanta comes out of Region 5 AAA. Appling County.
I was going to ask
out
you
of
why
Region
they didn't have the arrows showing that they were dropping down. They should have.
They should have, because Appling is in the state playoffs right now in AAA. So they're in the Final Four, if I'm not mistaken. So Appling comes from Region 3, which has 5 teams. Now they're left with 4. Carver comes from Region 5. They had 6 teams. Now they're left with 5. So this will not just touch single A and double A. This is also going to touch triple A. There's realignment.
Region 6 and Region 8 in AAA are going to be scrambling, like we were saying. They're going to be scrambling to find teams and to find matchups.
And maybe Region 8 double A too.
And definitely
if it even exists. And I don't even that just makes me mad even talking about it.
Well, and Tim, for the sake of playoffs, they're going to keep 8 regions. So GHSA is going to keep 8 regions just for the sake of making a successful playoff bracket.
Making some money.
But who's going to be where? It's going to be the question.
Okay, so that puts us at our next point. Because the GHSA is legally on a legal front, they're digging in their heels and preparing not just for appeals, they're preparing for appeals on the legal front, whereas schools are going to be filing lawsuits when their appeals are denied. So they're preparing for that, and they don't want one school to set a precedent where there's a pathway to overturning the GHSA. So GHSA right now, they're closing all the back doors to stop that. And that means that this may be very well carved in stone, and the bigger fight may lead towards the region alignment meeting rather than the classification.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I'm just, we all talked in this group chat earlier. I just have a hard time seeing, and some of these guys may disagree, and that's fine. We can all agree, disagree, and still be friends and still chat football like we all have. But I just have a hard time. Because the GHSA was very true, and they honored the if you appealed up or you appealed down, they honored that in this. Now I want to see if they honor everybody who petitioned regions to change regions. Now I want to see that. Obviously, Fannin County is one of them. Fannin County was in Region 8, appealed to go back to Region 7. The appeal was granted. Now,
from my understanding, they are starting with a blank slate. This right here represents a blank slate.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it too, and that comes from a source who I'm not going to name, but he is pretty heavily involved. And according to him, from everyone
this is a blank slate, and previous region alignments no longer exist because this is an entire new classification set.
Yes,
and that's their
from what I was told. Yes, from what I was told, what happens today supersedes everything that happened before.
Yeah, I would say that's true about the GHSA. I would say that and appeals will probably be very hard for this.
If you know Robin Hines and Glenn White, you'll know they are going to dot all their I's and cross all their T's to stop an onslaught of lawsuits that could possibly be coming from ADs. Tim, we're pulling up the map now. Thanks, Benton. Tim, you were mentioning the distance that Fannin's going to have to travel, whether they're in Region 8 AA or whether they're in Region 7 AA. These guys, especially during basketball and some of the other seasons where you're traveling every other night or 2 or 3 times a week, it's a real, right. That's Blue Ridge, guys. That's where Fannin County is located. So just look for any schools around them.
Yeah.
Gilmer and Pickens and Union County. That's it.
Banks isn't too far. How far is Banks?
Banks is down there in Homer. So it's a long ways down there. Go to southeast. Keep going. Homer. I think that's Homer.
Homer's below that.
Yeah, that's Commerce. So this is Banks here, I'm sure.
Yeah, Homer's in between them.
Where the Commerce is, that's East Jackson.
Yep.
Banks County.
Yeah. Where the right above north of Gainesville right there is, I think that is Riverside Military in the original 8AA.
So that being said, for whoever lands in Region 7 AA this coming year, and I have a strong feeling that obviously Floyd County is going to become the anchor county for Region 7 AA, and that will be Model, Gordon Central over in Gordon County, and Model and Pepperell. So those three teams will remain in Region 7 AA, and they're going to pull in Darlington, which is also right there in Floyd County.
Yeah.
They're going to pull in Tryon, and they're going to pull in Gordon Lee, which there's just no other Region AAs up there for them. So they should pick up Tryon, Gordon Lee, and Darlington right out of the gate. The next two will be big, and that will be as if Rockmart is going to be realigned down with Harrelson, and possibly maybe Herd's going to go single A, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
Herd's
going single A.
for now.
Yeah. It could all change tomorrow. Who knows?
But that will turn Region 7 AA, and those teams can all travel to Fannin. Fannon's going to have to travel the same way they've been doing. The first year in the region, they did a lot of road miles. Yeah. Last year they had more home games, but it was rough. And Tryon has already been playing a non-region schedule that is a Region 7 AA schedule. Their non-region teams have been Coosa, Model, Dade for the last couple of years. So they've already been playing those teams.
I don't think those teams are the issue.
Yeah, playoffs is what's going to be the issue. Is what
Yeah,
everybody.
I don't think anybody from Tryon would complain about playing those teams every year.
Yeah.
They won't, otherwise they wouldn't have been playing them.
It's just hard for me. It's still hard for me. It's hard for me to imagine anybody with a sane mind saying Tryon should play Rockmart every year for a region game.
But now here's the other thing. Tryon has been playing. They played Darlington a lot in every sport. I mean, they've battled against Darlington.
And they should not be.
Yeah.
They should not be playing Darlington.
Hey,
I think Darlington
all those years where we had the 6A region where the private teams played in the region during the regular season, but then went to the playoffs, and and your seedings were based off of. There were several years where Tryon would go 6-4, and all 4 losses would be against private schools. And then you go to the playoffs, and their seeding was affected by how they played against those private schools, and so they would have to play like the number 1 team in the state.
Power ranking.
I mean, that makes no sense.
I had that a few years ago, where they missed the playoffs because they had too many. They had played too many private schools. My stepsister went there. She was in the band, and it came down to them having played too many private schools, so they missed the playoffs because they didn't have enough qualifying wins to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So just a reminder. Sorry, I've been at academy all week, so I've been like completely shut out from everything. So private schools are now allowed to play in the same regions as public schools.
They're not allowed to. Now it's mandated. Now
Most
no
of them
longer
will be in AA or AAA.
Yeah, there's no
and they
longer
will be playing for a state championship at that level.
Oh, that changes a lot. Oh.
So yeah. So let me.
So can you picture single A next year the state champion will be Prince Avenue Christian. The AA champion will be Eagles Christian Landing.
Eagles Landing.
And Eagles Landing. AAA, I don't know. Let's take a look at AAA. Who's all your private schools there that can recruit?
If you look at these numbers down here, you have
Mount Vernon.
Wesleyan. I'll tell you who it'll be. It'll be Wesleyan.
Yeah, Wesleyan's pretty good.
Wesleyan.
Yep. Wesleyan's stout.
That gives such an unfair advantage. And that's speaking from a player, and I know how the private schools, and I'm good friends with people at Darlington. I'm good friends with people, at other private schools. But that just gives such an unfair advantage to kids like at Tryon, at Harrelson County, as I was talking about earlier before I was able to get in. That just gives, to me, that gives an unfair advantage to kids in public schools that, have to go to a certain school district, as we was talking about earlier, to be able to play and show off their talents. And then you got a school that can be like, hey, we'll pay all you need to come here, and you come play with us and let's win a state championship. I just don't see where
they can do it. They can do it from large areas.
Yeah, having dipped my toe in the private school arena, I can tell you it's not allowed for Georgia private schools to offer athletic scholarships.
Oh,
they can offer hardship scholarships for poverty kids, but GHSA does not allow any type of athletic scholarship. If a school gets found out, they're going to suffer severe consequences.
Correct.
Now, Tennessee is not that way. Tennessee has a no holds barred, anything goes, and you can pay. But just trying to go to Darlington with all the hardship money you're going to get, it's still going to cost you $11,000 to $18,000 a year to go there. Go to Blessed Trinity. So I don't care how good of a football player you are. How are you going to afford $45,000 or $50,000 a year tuitions to go to some of these bigger private schools?
Yeah.
I personally think that city schools have just as much of an advantage in terms of school size, because they're not charging an outrageous tuition. They can pick up all those out of district kids and bring them in, and they can get the ones who can't afford to go to private schools. Now,
I don't completely disagree with you on that, Levi. I don't completely disagree with you on that, except for it depends on the size of the city school.
Oh, no, I agree completely. So a Blessed Trinity or a place like that, you may only have 700 kids in the school, but you have a city area around it that is a much larger metro area to pull those 700. Now, Tryon, you're only going to pull your 380 from Chattooga County, Walker County, maybe some from Dade County. You're pulling from a much more rural area, and I get that. That's a different situation. But I also think that the money part of private schools is a disadvantage in Georgia. You are getting the wealthy kids or the really impoverished super stud athletes that you can give a hardship scholarship to. So, it's a toss of a coin, but it is what it is. And the green light has now been passed 15-1. The next 2 years at least, private schools will be playing in the public school divisions.
Yeah. Now that you kind of,
I'd like to say this as well, though. Like, what you're talking about is very true, but let's look at it from a perspective of this as well. We dipped our toes in that water as well with our son and with Cole looking at Darlington, and I've got nothing against private schools. I pull for Darlington. I was pulling for them last week. I pull for all the schools in this area, but let's look at it from perspective of it is a little bit different. I know the private schools, you have to pay or get a hardship. I know the public schools, that's not the case. But I still think it's about the area and the prestige of your school, because if you look at the athletic achievements of Darlington over the last 25, 30 years versus the athletic achievements of a Tryon or a Gordon Lee, I think Darlington is head and shoulders above them. And
Darlington has boarding students. So you can pull in international and out-of-state students and give them a place to live. Now, the difference with that is those students are no longer out-of-district students. Those students live there and are in your region, in your district. So you can, and that's definitely a truth. And that's the trick that teams like Calhoun have learned. They want to keep their out-of-district low, so they just provide a place to live. Once you live there, you're no longer out-of-district.
Yep. But is that something that the GHSA has taken into consideration here?
No.
It's totally legal.
Like I said, in my opinion, this whole situation is the GHSA taking the easy way out.
Damn thing. I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Hey, I gotta hop off. I got a test at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh boy.
For the academy. Appreciate y'all having me on. But like I was saying, now that you kind of more in depthly talked about, the situation with like not being able to offer scholarships and stuff, that makes way more sense than, because, from my perspective, I thought they were allowed to offer them scholarships. So for me, I was like, that just gives them disadvantage, because they can be like, hey, you're a good player on that team. Let me give you some money. You come play for us.
Hey, tell Hancock there. I agree. Those boarding students aren't playing sports. I don't disagree with that, but it changes your ratio, your percentage of kids who are out of district.
So where does everybody think realignment's going after we saw what happened today?
I think that the legal battles that happen in the next 6 days, the legal to and fro, are going to determine how difficult the region alignment meeting is. And you guys were talking about grabbing some drinks and heading down to the meetings. Let me tell you, the one that you want to sell tickets to is this region alignment meeting. That's going to be worth the ticket admission.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think North Murray will petition to play down?
I don't know what's going to happen, but they're close. I mean, look how close they are.
Yeah, that's why I was looking.
And Murray, I mean.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Vidalia, who just got bumped up to AAA from AA, could probably petition.
Now you put one of those. Put North Murray or both into AA. Now you got something. Now you got a big region there for 7AA.
Yeah, but that would. But where does Fannin go?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling
Those
you.
two could pull.
Let's hear it.
I'm telling you guys, don't rule out Union County and Fannin coming to 7AA. And the reason why I say that is there are places where Banks County and East Jackson could go too. East Jackson especially.
No, I agree. I'm saying North Murray and Murray, they're going to be, with Dade County coming all the way to single A, they're going to need a home.
So Dade,
Union,
I didn't even notice Dade.
Fannin.
Yeah,
Dade's in single A? Oh,
Dade's
geez.
going all the way to single A with Chattooga and Coosa.
Yeah,
I'll go down to single A. Here's your single A. So you got Coosa,
Hurd,
Chattooga, or
oh
Murchie.
man, Rabin.
Yes, Rabin,
And
Oh.
Raven.
Dade.
And
Raven's going to be the
Prince
killer.
Avenue Christian right there in the middle of them. So
Yep.
Yeah, and there's your
Right
state
there.
champ.
there's your state champ.
There's your state champ right there. I mean,
Yep.
before the season starts, it's basically a done deal.
I just don't know if you're handing them a state championship though. I don't know.
I'm telling you,
With 289 kids in the school, 289.
I watched them play. I don't know.
Raven,
Now, am I saying that Coosa or
I think
Chattooga
Raven's
playing
will
with
be down here eventually, guys. What a run they've went on with Gunner, but
Yeah.
I agree completely.
I don't think they're going to be as good as they were. They're going to be good. I just don't think
Yeah.
they're going to be as good as they
Have
were.
you guys all
let
been to
me
Raven
ask you guys
Stadium?
all a question.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Go ahead.
Let me ask everybody a question here, and just to get everybody's opinion. Based off some of these new alignments, classifications, regions, or whatever, from obviously single A through AAA, do you guys think it's going to hurt the schools? The turnout, the fan turnout, possibly the interest? Because I think it's going to. I don't think anybody from some of these schools are going to come out to watch their team play a school that they're going to get beat 60-0.
Then you haven't been to a Gordon Central game because those fans come out.
Well,
that team takes a butt whooping
that
every week.
may be true. That may be true, but I don't think that's going to be true across the board.
On the other hand, what fans are going to come out to see your new region or your new matchups, or that could be a new.
I think that people going out to see a Pepperell versus Darlington region rivalry kicking up. Those two schools are in each other's backyard. I mean, that's a rivalry waiting to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of new rivalries. I just think it's going to be really hard to win a state championship for a public school in single A and 2A. I think that's off. Yeah, I don't see it. I think that's off the out of the question now.
I would have loved to see Trine and Fannin this year. That'd have been a great game.
Would you not have loved to see Trine and Fannin? I would have loved to have seen that.
I'm up for it.
Hey, Tim,
maybe. I would not have liked to see Trine and Rockmart is what I know.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you'd be real surprised.
I would have loved to
Rockmart
see
got dismantled by number 4. A 4 seed. Rockmart got torn apart. I think you'd be surprised. But just the same, Chattooga has played that game year in and year out when Rockmart was in the
Oh, yeah.
same region, and everybody there was saying the same thing. How are we possibly in the same region with this team?
Yeah, and I said the same thing. I didn't think they should have been in the same region. I don't think they should be in the same region again. I don't understand it. I don't think Calhoun should have been in 7AA for all those years, and I don't know if the multiplier had something to do with that or this.
The multiplier didn't exist back then, Paul.
Yeah, they just had
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the multiplier is what bumped
But-
them up 3 classifications, and Buford too.
Yeah,
Buford's
that's
in that same boat.
Yeah, but that's my point to this is that I don't think people want to come out and see dominant teams versus teams that have no chance. And that's where I think a little bit of extra thought could go into this whole process, in the fact that nobody wants to see Rockmart play Trine. I just don't see that happening. I don't think the Trine people want to see it. I don't think the Rockmart people want to see it. And I don't think anybody in between wants to see it. I think for all those years when Calhoun was in 7AA, nobody really wanted to see Calhoun play any of those 7AA teams or vice versa. And
15
so
years of not even losing a single game in the
exactly. And that, yes. And that's my point here. Like, you guys were talking earlier about some teams that are playing in the AAA or Quad A semifinals this week, dropping down a class. I understand there are numbers that need to be looked at, but if you're looking at a team that dominates in a certain classification, what business do they have dropping down to a lower classification?
Well, hey, look, Rockmart got bumped down even with a number of 956. They were getting bumped down even
Here's
with that
my thing.
number.
I think Region 5 absolutely has to have Rockmart. I don't think Rockmart's going to Region 7.
I think I agree with you. I think
I would say you're probably
I
right.
just don't see a scenario where Rockmart goes up to Region 7. I know they used to be in Region 7. Yeah, great. That's fine. But like with Callaway needing somebody and Harrelson, I mean, they're going to need Rockmart. I mean, Region 7 don't need no more teams.
Yeah, Region 7 will have 7 teams guaranteed. Rockmart would make 8, but now if North Murray drops down or Murray drops down, one of those, they're going to slip in.
Union.
Or Union. Yes, or Union.
Union.
But now also I agree, Tim. My guess at putting them in there with my original lineup was just because that's the most recent team they went to. When I heard they were going down, I said they would replace Bremen and go right into Region 5 and be fine.
Yeah, I just don't see a scenario where Rockmart goes to 7. I don't, unless they appeal.
I find it hard to believe that there's going to be a lot of appeals approved.
I don't think they're going to go for any appeals.
I
think it's going to be hard to get an appeal with this.
They're really worried about somebody setting a precedent, filing a lawsuit. So if they allow one appeal and don't allow another, then they're going to have to find who hash out why you got the appeal here, why everybody get the Amber Alert.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have to get lawyers involved and a court involved as to why this appeal was granted and this appeal wasn't. So from my understanding, that is the fear that they're facing right now. It's a whole new scenario, a whole new blank slate that they're dealing with, and the worry is setting a precedent will open the door for lawsuits. And Chris and Tim were both talking about this too. All these teams are going to be scrambling to get a schedule built as quickly as possible. And we're talking about one sport here. We're all focused on football.
Yeah, we're not thinking about all the other sports.
Yeah. Basketball, baseball, softball, wrestling, volleyball, tennis, all these other sports are going to be rushing to find opponents and to fill schedules. And it's going to be a madhouse for the rest of the year for every AD in AAA and below.
And I would say with football, a lot of next season's groundwork for laying out the schedule, getting everything finalized, is already started. And so when all this came along,
it can all be washed away.
Yeah, it's all on hold. So all the work that the ADs did and the coaches did, all that's on hold, and we're just waiting. And so we've got to wait for another round of appeals, then we got to wait for another release of reclassification. And I can guarantee you, after these appeals are heard, within 24 hours, they're going to release the reclassification, because I can tell you it's probably already done. The
Yes.
realignment plan is probably already done.
Last time they had it done within, what, a day and a half, they had it out?
Probably less than that.
And from what I understand, it was done in less than 12 hours. They just took the rest of the time figuring out how they were going to release it, polishing up. It was done in 12 hours.
Yeah, I would say that plan's being put into place now, and as soon as they hear appeals, they'll release the new realignment, and that will be it. They'll be, that's it, set in stone. Now you go make your schedule.
I don't know.
And GHSA has committees for that. They have a committee for single A, a committee for double A. They have committees for realignment for each region. They have secretaries from each region. And all of those people are talking on the phone. Those ADs are all. And when they came up with this list right here, those phone calls were being made simultaneous. The moment that vote went 15-1, those phones started burning up.
I bet their phones haven't stopped ringing tonight.
They probably already
Mine
get
hasn't.
in the mailbox.
No, it's
Oh yeah, mine's blowing up too.
I just, the other day I was kind of anxious, waiting to see what any decisions were going to be made after this latest realignment, and now I know this is going to be a long, drawn out process, so I'll hang out and just wait.
Listen, we all feel right now. We all feel about half of what you felt last week.
Yeah.
And I can say this: we're all
welcome to the club.
Everybody's floored by it. The people at GHSA, especially those guys in the single A committee who kind of have been meeting and talking and discussing, I think they may have seen this coming, but I don't think anybody saw a complete reclassification of AAA.
No.
I don't think anybody saw it.
Because this touched just the single A private and public merger actually touched 2A and 3A. It's affected everything. So everything that's been said and done before is kind of up in the air now.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think anybody outside of, as Levi said, some of those people inside the GHSA saw this coming. The folks I've talked to tonight inside a couple of different programs, nobody saw this coming. I mean, they already had pretty much their schedules locked in or almost locked in, at least for football, and maybe region schedules for other sports locked in for next year.
Yeah.
Well, I've been reaching out to the ADs that I have a relationship with, and across the board, the sentiment was their feeling is that the GHSA is not going to hear or lean kindly toward appeals, and that they're going to go over them with a fine-tooth comb. So if you have a reason to appeal, it better be a very clear-cut, hardcore reason for the appeal, or you're just kind of pissing in the wind there, so to speak.
So in the bottom, quote unquote, division, Division 2 and single A, is there any local schools that will be in there besides the obvious one we talked about earlier, Bowden and Christian Heritage? I'm looking.
No, Manchester's not really local. Manchester's a stud school though.
Let me ask you
Wilcox
something.
County just beat Tryon. They're in there.
Do what?
Not to interrupt here, but do you think Christian Heritage would appeal to play up?
I think they have a very good chance right there. With those, I mean, it's 70 schools, but the asterisk next to each one of them indicates a non-football school.
There's
if I'm
a ton.
not mistaken.
Yeah. So the 70 is very misleading. It's actually closer to 52, which is what the D1 is that 50 or 52. So they want to keep them all in that 50-something range. Every classification, they want to be around that.
So let's talk about Christian Heritage right now. Who is even close to being nearby them right there?
Pull up the map.
Just go ahead for the school and buy a bus,
I wouldn't even pull
a
it
motor
up.
coach.
No reason to pull it up.
Yeah.
I mean, there ain't nobody nearby.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to have, as far as region goes for Christian Heritage, I have no idea, but you're going to be involved in a lot of travel.
I
guarantee you they appeal if there's a chance. If they let them appeal, I guarantee you they'd appeal. And you know which region they put them in, guys?
Yep.
We got a pretty good idea, don't we?
I can give you one guess.
Well, no, they don't have to go to 2A. They could go to Division 1.
Which
Yeah,
would
and
put
I'll tell you
them.
what, I'm taking some Benadryl and I'm going to bed.
They could appeal to play. They could appeal to play in Division 1, and you
And
might
it would be Region 6A with Armurchie and
We'll see you, Tim.
play in that
You
region.
guys take care. I'm taking some Benadryl and I'm going to bed. Go,
we'll see
All
you,
right,
Tim.
we'll see you, Tim.
go Fan Rebels.
See you, Tim.
Yeah, I think Mount Zion could be Mount Zion and Herd and Temple will be the ones that they're going to try to shuffle around down there. Herd, Temple, and Mount Zion.
I just find it weird seeing Armurchie in Coosa there next to Prince Avenue. I think that's there's also some other schools in there. I think it's a total mismatch.
Especially for Armurchie in their resurgence. I mean, they're them coming off of a 4-win or 5-win season. The best. They've won more games this year than they have in the past 6-7 years combined.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do some hypotheticals here. I'm going to flip over to Cal Preps. Do a little quick hypothetical between Prince Avenue and some of these teams that might have to play them.
Yeah, you don't even have to look at Armurchie. They would do the same thing to Coosa, the same thing to Chattooga. I mean, Prince Avenue has 5-star players on their team. 5 stars.
Yeah.
I would argue that they might do the same thing to Fannin or, some of these other teams.
You can guarantee it. Yeah, I mean that.
It's not just the Coosas. I mean, and that's where my problem comes in, is that it seems to me that in some of these instances, the little guy is getting overlooked. And to me, some of it feels like that it hurts small town, single A, double A high school football in some of these really small towns where every now and again you have a 10-2 team like Trine that makes the second round, or last year Gordon Lee 10-2 makes the second round. But that's only the case every few years. And it seems to me like it hurts these really small high school towns, and you're making their road much more difficult.
So I will accept Chattooga to be the guinea pig in this situation, and a Cal Preps prediction of 52-7.
I think that's generous.
For those people who don't know, who are watching, Prince Avenue Christian is located where? Right outside of Clark County, where University of Georgia territory. You've got a population
named after Prince Avenue in Athens.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe some of the kids who go there might be the governor's kids. Maybe I think that it's.
Well, I know that the head coach. I mean, didn't his son just go to Georgia last year as quarterback?
Yep.
Yes, Brock Vandergraff.
Yeah, Vandergriff is the head coach there.
And speaking of those small schools, Rabin and Prince Avenue Christian, both with 5-star QBs, will be down in the D1 single A division, and they're both sending off 5-star QBs to Georgia.
They played each other this past year, did they not?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
On ESPN.
And it was a battle to the end.
Yes, it was. That was a good game.
And you're talking about one of the top 8 teams in AA versus,
But now guys, the route that Tennessee took to get there was allowing everybody to play together. And Georgia has done this in the past. Our teams played together, private and public, until a breaking point, and they were split. Now the people in office have forgotten those days and have with muddy waters, they've gone back to combining them, and it will take that pendulum swinging the other way and some serious domination by these. And every public school that beats a private school, they're going to be like, see, there's why it's fine. That one school, all these other privates are in the Final Four, but that one school is why public schools, one Rabin who has a stud QB, there you go. That's why it's okay.
I just think I think we're heading in a direction where you could see AA and both of the single A classes. When you get to the Final Four, to all be private schools. You won't have a public school left.
Yep.
I think the only way to fix it is to if you're going to do a multiplier, you have to add more multiplier to private school.
Well, now there was a suggestion, Benton, when the multipliers first were discussed, there was a progressive scale like taxes, and it was going to be if you had if you had 25% of your school was out of district, you were going to get the 2. If you had 50%, you were to get the 2.5. And if you
that would have in Paul's case, that would have murdered Trine. I mean, that would have made it probably even worse.
Yeah, because Trine is up there in that 75% range.
Yeah, but I also look at it like this. Why can't the multiplier be divided by maybe how many people live in your city limits?
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in a town the size of Trine or Chickamauga, like I said earlier, if they only had kids from inside the district, they would have no athletic teams, and they may not have a school.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. It's a absolutely total different situation.
And that comes back to another thing. If a school is of a certain size in terms of being small, if a city is that small that they can't fund a school, then it's very possible they get absorbed by another school system because they're simply not large enough to fund a school system.
What if Trine appeals and goes to
Gordon Lee is in that case. Gordon Lee is tiny, but Gordon Lee charges.
And under this scenario, I threw out to somebody earlier tonight that I was talking to. Trine and Gordon Lee under this scenario would be better off joining the Chattooga and Walker County school systems.
Athletically speaking, absolutely. Academically speaking, those two schools are consistently in the top 10 in the state academically, and that's why they were created. It wasn't for sports. They were created to weed out. That's my take. Is to where you could pare down and you're hand picking 3 out of every 4 kids.
So wait a minute.
I'm not sure they were created for that reason, but I do think that is a little bit of what's involved now as time is going on.
Well, I think academic excellence within city schools has always been something that they could control by a smaller school district area, a smaller footprint, and then allowing in outside students as they warranted, as they earned it.
Yep.
I got a question.
But like I said earlier, you've got to let outside students in if you don't have enough students inside your district to even possibly even have a school.
Somebody asked me earlier, where is the Trine district? Like, what is the parameters?
Because here's the deal. It's not the city limits. It is not the city limits.
Oh,
I don't know.
Because there are definitely people with a city zip code and city address that are not in the actual school district. And if you try to look up a district map, it's very hard to find one.
That's what I was trying to look at.
I know 25 years ago when I went to Trine, I didn't live inside the city limits, and we had to reapply every year and had to pay a fine, or not a fine, but pay a fee to do that reapplication. Mm-hmm. And it was just because we didn't live inside the city limits.
And Trine's is up to like $200 a year, where Gordon Lee's is up to like $800.
Hey, you guys see that Thompson team right there?
Oh my goodness, Thompson!
Yep. Oh. Thompson was who put Ringgold out of the playoffs in the second round, and they've dropped from 3A. And I see Gordon Lee has moved up from single A, so that'll be another team you got to compete against.
And Thompson is a public school.
That's my point. Like, who in their right mind looks at this and says Gordon Lee High School from Chickamauga, Georgia, should be competing in the same bracket as Thompson? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, your other one there is Harrelson County. Harrelson County made it deep into the playoffs, had a real stud team, and now they'll be playing against Gordon Lee, Gordon Central, and Trine.
And most of the there's several of the teams I see right there that 1 year ago were AAA teams.
And good, dominant AAA teams.
Very good AAA teams. So even Harrelson County, just 2019 was their last year in AAA before they dropped down. Mm-hmm. So let's look at the top of AAA. Did all the schools that they put in from moving down into AAA, those were the schools that were from the previous reclass, right?
Yes, and you look at those with 1,300 students. Ridgeland, almost 1,300 students.
Well, Ridgeland, I think they won a special appeal. But is
They
that
did.
appeal also out the window? Also, I mean, I don't know. I don't, you know.
The reason those appeals should stand is because they were appeals out of the 4A group. So
Yeah.
those appeals should stand. That being said, Sonoraville is no longer AAA.
I think they might be in a better spot. This is getting tough.
Yeah, 6 AAA and 8 AAA are going to be very interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know anymore. I was kind of anxious and waiting on hearing what how it was going to work out, but I'm just kind of going to be patient with it. I just whatever goes now,
Well, I think
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And back to
I was
what you
going
guys
to say
were saying earlier too.
between Ringgold, Gilmer, Adairsville, Cahulla Creek, Lafayette, North Murray. I mean the
LFO, Ridgeland,
LFO,
Bremen.
Ridgeland, Bremen now.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I almost feel like Murray and North Murray, they would gladly allow them to leave just to thin that out.
Who knows? I mean, they're right on the line. I mean, they think they could.
Can you see this map here? I don't know if you can see this map or not. At the top, it looks like it goes to the edge of Ridgeway Drive, all the way down Oak Hill Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Down Allgood Street a little bit. See, the school's like right in here, right?
Yeah. So the Tri-City limits comes farther south.
Yeah.
And so you see where East Trine is over there. So
yeah, this is East Trine, right? That's not even considered in the district according to this map.
Well, all you have to do is drive over there and you'll see why.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it really is pretty wild. I mean, at the same time, it makes you wonder, why is the district not the city limits?
It doesn't make
and
you
when
wonder.
was that decided?
And
who when was that decided? And who decided that?
Yeah, who decided?
Who decided that? And when was that decided?
That was decided by the school board back about 1973.
Probably.
Yeah. My point is that's a long time ago. Like, I feel like everybody involved in this whole situation today needs to update a little bit. whether it's a certain city school district or the GHSA, I think people need to step up and do a little more research and think a little more about how this affects everybody.
Well, we're going to do it again in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I feel like if you're going to make a decision, go ahead and make the decision for 4 or 6 and give everybody a chance to adapt to that. And I do think you need to do it in even years because you're creating a schedule where you alternate games between opponents. So you have a home game and a away game.
To me, doing it at 2 years signifies that you don't know what you're doing and you hope it's right. Yes. And if it ain't right, then only 2 years and we can fix it.
Yeah. My biggest complaint.
You can go more with that.
Yeah. My biggest complaint is
I agree with Benton. I mean, doing it 2 years, that just seems to me like you don't know what you're doing, and we're just going to keep on trying this out. But at the same time, I don't know if you should go with a 4 or 6 or beyond year number because I feel like they've made a wrong decision this year. And why are you going to punish people for a longer period of time?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
My biggest complaint is about how long this is taking. I just feel for the ADs and coaches out there who've already had games scheduled for next year, or in the AAA, 6 AAA cases, if you've had to cancel all your outer region games because you've got an all region schedule, or if it's still up in the air, who knows? I don't like that because a lot of those games that we're losing are the rivalry games, the ones that fill up the stands every year. They clear out the concession stands, fill up the parking lots, sell every split the pot ticket. Those are the ones that make a lot of money for these programs, and those are the games that we should protect and that everybody should be trying to keep on the schedule because of those are very important financially to cheerleaders, band, and the football program. So I'm just not happy that they're going to lose those. Yeah.
Well, now, Chris,
Yeah,
that's a
and-
good
and-
point.
Yeah,
What I was
another
gonna say
sport.
is, the matchups that you have when you go to a region that's 9 or 10 teams.
Yeah.
Now you don't have a chance. If you were moved out of the region with one of your rivals, that was a great fundraising game. You don't have the non-region schedule room to work that rivalry matchup in.
Yeah.
You know, so you with a big region, you can't keep it if you've been moved out of the region. So I mean, to me,
Yep.
it's a
And that goes back to the point I tried to make earlier, the fact that I don't think the GHSA does enough homework when they do these things.
Yeah.
I think all those things should be looked at. I think there should be people that are required to look at every single region, every single matchup, every single school. I mean, I don't know what kind of funding the GHSA has or what kind of, what kind of man hours they have to put into it. But it feels to me like they do not put the time and effort into it that they should put into it.
Here's an idea, and this is just an idea. I just thought of it, and I'm sure millions of people have already thought of it and suggested it. But, well, first, a question. How many private schools are there that play football? Are there enough to field 2 different divisions, like, as
like
far as
a large body and a small student body.
Like you're talking about like how Tennessee does it. A private school Division I and a private school
32
Division
in each
II.
region. Or each
There's not
division.
that many in Tennessee. So I mean, we certainly have more than Tennessee.
Yeah.
And why don't you split it in half and do the top 16 on
I'll do
one,
that. Me and Paul get together. We'll go down there to GHSA. We'll make that
and
happen.
then take the rest of your teams and balance them out into 2 through 7A or whatever.
That's the way Tennessee does it.
Yeah. 1A would be private. 1A is private. A and B private. You got half of them at the.
You got your big private schools in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is 2A through 7A and split.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they call it D1 and D2.
Yeah. In Tennessee,
right.
I hate this whole D1, D2 thing in high school. That just blows. I can't get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's all because they don't want to say we have 8 classifications. What we have right now is 8 classifications. That's what we have.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what it means is that Trine's just bumped up to 3A.
Well, I mean, we were
don't rub it in.
Talking about that. We were talking about the possibility of that because originally, a couple years ago, we didn't even know if they were going to apply the multiplier to single A or not. We didn't know where they would land. At that point, we were saying, is Trine going to play single A, 3A? They probably
and we've always known that if they apply the multiplier, whatever the multiplier is, to single A, it's going to have a tremendous effect on single A public schools. Tremendous effect.
Well, single A city public schools.
Let me disclaimer there. City schools.
Yeah, because I think Gordon Lee was hit worse than Trine. Same division, but as far as numbers wise.
And Gordon Lee has a larger student body in general. They have probably 100 students more than Trine anyway. I think. Yeah. I didn't see their actual numbers.
Let's see, Trine 381, Gordon Lee 428.
Okay, so it's maybe 50 more.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I got to get off here.
Yep.
I got to get to work in the morning early, so I'm gonna go home or go to sleep and not try to think about the old realignment.
Yeah,
I'm about to do the same. I'm about to do the same. Get off here. Go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, we got that.
Enjoy it, guys.
For all the viewers out there, we will be jumping back on once the region alignment is released to have this same discussion all over again about how unbalanced or unfair or what the projections are. Because right away we'll start projecting next year's playoff teams.
I'll show up with my playoff picks. So
there we go.
Here's a quick parting question.
That's easy. It was because GHSA set the number at 900. They set the cap.
Hey, before Chris gets off here, let's do a SEC championship prediction here between the 4 guys on here.
I think Georgia's going to win, and I think it's going to be bad. Yeah.
I'm an Alabama fan, and I'm picking, let's say 30-7 Georgia.
Yeah, they've got a lot of pent up aggression they're going to let out. And I think and you'll see it right off the bat with the defense. So,
I'm a fan of neither. The one thing I know is Georgia has been the better team 3 times in the past 8 matchups, and they've lost every time. Georgia has a mental block with Alabama, and Alabama can pull a win out of a 4 overtime against a rival. Alabama can pull a win out of a lot of crazy places, and I will not be shocked at all to see a close game and Alabama win.
All right, let me talk some sense into y'all right quick. So here's the way I look at it. Alabama's offensive line has not been very good. They hadn't ran the ball.
Nope.
If they continue to not block and not run the ball, Alabama's not winning this ball game. And I think
line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
Alabama has struggled all year, and I don't see any reason. There's nothing. Okay, they have good receivers, and if you give him time, which he hadn't had a lot of, if you give him time, you know.
3rd and 23, backup quarterback.
Yeah.
They do. Okay. Nobody has any idea who Alabama's backup quarterback is. So he's not coming in the game.
His last name's Tyson, and he's Bear Bryant's great-grandson.
And I hope he comes in the game because we're going to eat his lunch.
We do not want him to come in the game. We do not want him to come in the game. I can tell you this.
On paper, Georgia should have a run to the championship.
34-17. 34-17.
Georgia looks as good as the strongest team in the nation of any year in recent history. The lineup, and here's the deal: the quarterback is about the worst player on the team, and that says you got a stacked team across the board. Georgia looks daggum good,
but he's experienced.
50-10.
50-10.
Good Lord.
Well, here's what you can be guaranteed: Kirby Smart is not going to take his foot off the gas.
No, he's not.
34-17 was wide enough stretch, to be honest with you.
I say 30-7 simply because I think Georgia's going to play conservative offensively early on.
Yeah.
And
they've got the tools to do that.
I think
they're going to play
if
conservative.
They do that, if they play conservatively, Alabama's going to beat them.
I think that
Alabama can't score
defense.
All right, guys. Well, I got to get off here.
I know. We can talk about this.
I do too. Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
The Chastain guy that asked the question, Rockmart has been bouncing back and forth between AAA and AA just because GHSA set the number at 900. Rockmart does not have a lot of out-of-district kids. They're local kids, and they're battling Cedartown. They're right there, neighborhood schools with Cedartown. Rockmart has some fantastic homegrown talent. If you hadn't seen them in wrestling, baseball, basketball, or football, Rockmart has homegrown athletes like any school in the state.
Until next time.
Ciao, bud.
Yes, sir.